You are not the victim of your circumstances, you are the architect of them. The difference between people who drift and people who rise is simple. One group lets the world control their mind, and the other learns to control their mind first. Because once you master the inner world, the outer world falls into order. In this lesson, I'm going to show you something most people never discover: the direct link between thought and circumstance. You'll learn how to take conscious control of your mind, how to quiet the noise of fear and doubt, and how to replace it with the clear direction that creates peace, purpose, and success. I'll show you why mastering your inner world is the single greatest investment you can make, because when you master your mind, everything else in life begins to obey its command. You and I live in an age of distraction. Our attention is constantly being pulled and twisted by screens, by headlines, by every demand for our time. And because of it, most minds are restless, scattered, and weak. A person can't build anything solid with a weak mind. You can have ambition, talent, even opportunity, but without control of your thoughts, those things are wasted. That's why so many feel stuck, restless, half asleep in their own lives. But once you understand that every result, good or bad, begins as a seed in thought, you realize the solution has been within your reach all along. Over the next 20 minutes, I'll show you how to take command of your inner world. We'll explore how your thoughts quietly shape every condition of your life, how your attitude acts as a magnet for success or failure, and how you can use the discipline of focus to direct the creative power of your mind. I'll share simple methods to regain calm, purpose, and control even in times of confusion. You'll discover why it's not the events of life that matter, but how you think about them, and how this one realization can change the course of your entire life. Stay with me, because somewhere in this lesson you're going to feel something, click, a quiet recognition that you've held the key to your life all along. And once you see it, you'll never think the same way again. Here's something most people completely miss. Every condition of your life is first created in the quiet workshop of your own mind. The things you touch, the people around you, even the mood you wake up in each morning, they all begin as invisible thoughts taking shape inside. If your thoughts are scattered, your life will be scattered. If your thoughts are orderly, your life will reflect that same order. The outer world always follows the inner. I've often said the mind is like a fertile field. It doesn't argue, it doesn't judge, it simply grows whatever you plant in it. Drop in a seed of corn, and given a little care, it'll return a harvest of corn. Scatter the seeds of weeds, and it'll return a thick crop of weeds. The soil makes no moral decision, it just says yes to the seed. Your mind works exactly the same way. Think of fear, worry, and resentment, and you're planting weeds. Think of courage, gratitude, and purpose, and you're planting good grain. Either way, the harvest comes quietly, faithfully, and in multiplied measure. Now, you might be thinking, that sounds too simple to be true. But stop and look around. Everything built by human hands began as a thought. The chair you sit on, the roof above you, the very device you're listening on, all of it was first an idea in someone's mind. If thought can shape wood, metal, and stone, imagine what it can shape in your own character, your relationships, your future. The only question is, what kind of thoughts are you planting every day? Here's the danger most people fall into. They let their minds run on autopilot. They absorb fear from the news, envy from social media, complaint from conversation. They think about what they don't want, and then wonder why life keeps serving them more of it. The law is simple. As you think, so you become. A person who thinks about failure all day will meet it at every corner. A person who thinks about progress will find ideas and opportunities waiting for them everywhere. The mind is a magnet. It attracts what it dwells upon most. So, the first step to controlling your life is learning to watch your own thoughts. Catch them as they pass. Ask yourself, is this something I want to see grow in my world? If the answer is no, pull it up like a weed and plant something better in its place. Replace worry with gratitude. Replace anger with understanding. Replace fear with faith. This is where mastery begins, not out there, but right here, in the invisible soil behind your eyes. When you grasp this, you stop blaming luck or circumstance. You realize that life isn't happening to you, it's responding to you. The cause is thought, the effect is circumstance. The mind is the starting point of every victory and every defeat. Guard it well, because it is the only thing in the universe that is completely yours to control. And once you truly understand that thought is the cause and circumstance the effect, you're ready for the next great discovery: how to direct those thoughts deliberately, how to train the mind to obey instead of wander. Because control of the mind doesn't come by accident, it comes by discipline. And that's exactly where we'll go next. Now that you understand the mind will grow whatever you plant in it, the next question becomes, how do you take charge of what gets planted? Because while most people agree with the idea that we become what we think about, very few ever learn to think deliberately. They drift from thought to thought, from worry to distraction, as though their minds were leaves blowing in the wind. They don't realize that mental discipline, the ability to direct thought on purpose, is the true beginning of freedom. You can't control the outer world until you first learn to control the inner one. Here's what most people completely miss. An undisciplined mind is like a wild horse. It's strong, it's fast, it's full of potential, but left to itself it'll throw the rider and run in circles. The disciplined mind, on the other hand, obeys the reins. It moves in a straight line toward a clear destination. It doesn't panic at the noise of fear or the distraction of doubt. It just keeps walking forward. That's what mental discipline is. It's not strain or suppression, it's calm direction. It's saying to yourself, this is the thought I will hold, and I will not allow another to take its place. Now, let's be honest, it's not easy at first. You'll find your attention wandering, your emotions rising, your old habits pulling you back. But that's all right. That's the training. You don't break the mind with force. You guide it with patience until it obeys. Every time you catch yourself worrying and turn your thought toward a goal, you've taken a step forward. Every time you replace resentment with gratitude, you've strengthened your control, and after a while, it becomes natural, automatic. You stop reacting to every mood or fear that floats by, and you begin to live from purpose instead of impulse. Think of it this way: your outer world is like a mirror reflecting the order or confusion within. If your thoughts are restless, your life will appear restless. If your thoughts are calm, your life will reflect calmness. People who seem unshakable, who move through crises with quiet confidence, aren't lucky they've learned to master their own thinking. They decide what deserves their attention, and they give it only to those things that build, never to those that destroy. Now, you might be wondering, but how can I discipline my thoughts when life feels so uncertain? The answer is, by deciding once and for all that nothing outside you has the power to disturb your peace without your consent. You can't control events, but you can always control your response. You can choose to dwell on fear, or you can choose to think constructively about solutions. And each time you choose, you strengthen your authority over the mind. Discipline grows by exercise, just like muscle. Remember, every achievement begins with one quiet decision. From this moment on, I will govern my own thoughts. That decision marks the day you stop being pushed around by moods, opinions, and circumstances, and start steering your own course. From that point forward, you're no longer a passenger, you're the pilot. And here's what happens next. Once the mind is disciplined, once it no longer runs away with every passing emotion, it becomes an instrument of incredible power. Where that instrument points, that's where your life will go. And that brings us to the next great law, the law of focus. Now that the mind has been brought under discipline, once it's no longer darting from fear to distraction to worry, something remarkable happens. It begins to develop power. Power to shape, power to move, power to create. But that power only works where it's directed. That's the law of focus. Whatever you hold steadily in your attention expands in your experience. The mind works like a lens. Scatter the light and it warms nothing. Concentrate it and it burns through steel. Focus turns thought into form. Here's something most people never stop to think about. Your life, right now, is a reflection of what you've been paying attention to most. If your attention has been fixed on problems, you'll see more problems. If it's been fixed on opportunity, you'll find doors opening in places others overlook. Focus is what separates the restless from the purposeful, the drifter from the doer, the frustrated from the fulfilled. Because life has a way of magnifying whatever we dwell upon, good or bad, wanted or unwanted. Picture yourself driving a car down a long, winding road. If you stare off at the ditch, your hands will unconsciously steer toward it. You don't mean to drift that way, but your focus determines your direction. The same is true of life. Where your eyes of thought rest, that's where your path will lead. A person who focuses on fear is steering toward fear. A person who focuses on goals, on service, on progress, is steering toward achievement. The law never fails. Now here's why this matters. Most people don't lose because they lack strength or opportunity. They lose because their attention is divided. They want one thing, but they think about another. They say they desire success, but they give their mental energy to worry. They speak of peace, but they feed their minds on conflict. They scatter their attention across 1,000 little things and then wonder why nothing grows. Focus is the art of saying no to everything that doesn't lead toward your ideal. When you learn to hold one clear picture in your mind, when you think about it in calm confidence every day, the world begins to organize itself around that thought. You can test this easily. Spend one full day deliberately focusing only on the things you want. When fear comes, turn your mind to faith. When doubt whispers, think of your goal. When distraction pulls you away, bring your attention gently back. By evening, you'll feel the difference. You'll notice a new sense of direction, even strength. That's not coincidence, it's the law responding to your focus. Now, someone might say, but I can't control everything that happens. And they're right, you can't. But you can always choose what you focus on. You can choose to feed the problem, or you can choose to feed the solution. You can stare at the darkness, or you can look for the light. Focus doesn't deny reality. It selects which part of reality you want to expand, and whatever you focus on, life multiplies. So guard your attention as carefully as you'd guard your savings, because it's the currency of creation. Don't spend it carelessly on things that drain you. Invest it wisely in ideas that build you. If you give your attention to worry, you'll be poor in peace. But if you give it to purpose, you'll grow rich in results. The direction of your attention is the direction of your life. And once you learn to focus, to hold that mental beam steady on what you truly want, you'll find that life itself begins to move in a straight line. The confusion fades, the noise quiets, and everything starts falling into order. But focus alone isn't enough. It needs fuel, it needs imagination to shape what that focus is creating. And that's where we'll go next. Once your thoughts are disciplined and your focus is clear, the next power that comes into play is imagination, the quiet builder behind every visible result. Most people think imagination is something that belongs only to artists, inventors, and dreamers, but that isn't true at all. Every person on Earth is imagining constantly, day and night, whether they realize it or not. The problem is, most people are using their imagination destructively to picture failure, to replay fears, to build images of limitation. They live inside mental blueprints of worry, and then wonder why life keeps taking that shape. But imagination, properly directed, is the greatest creative tool we possess. It's the bridge between thought and form, between the unseen and the seen. Everything you see around you began first as an image in someone's imagination. The chair you're sitting in, the walls that surround you, the vehicle that carried you to work this morning, each was first an idea. Before a single piece of wood was cut or metal was molded, someone saw it clearly in their mind's eye. The engineer sees the bridge before it spans the river. The architect sees the house before it stands on the ground. The inventor sees the machine before the first bolt is turned. That inner vision guides the outer creation. Your life follows the same pattern. You will always live out the image you hold most firmly in your mind. Now, this might seem strange at first, but I want you to try something. Take a few quiet minutes each day and simply see yourself as you wish to be, not in vague hopes, but in clear, specific pictures. See yourself calm, poised, confident, and steadily working toward your goal. See yourself meeting others with kindness and assurance. See your work done with excellence and purpose. Don't strain, don't force, just let the image form in a relaxed, expectant way. If you do this faithfully, the image begins to sink into the deeper levels of the mind. It becomes instruction, a blueprint for your habits, your voice, your posture, your decisions. Before long, you find yourself acting in harmony with the picture you've been holding. This isn't fantasy. It's the natural way the mind works. The subconscious, which governs most of what we do each day, responds not to words, but to pictures and emotions. When you picture yourself as fearful, uncertain, or small, your subconscious takes that image as a command and produces behavior to match. But when you hold an image of composure, strength, and success, it works just as faithfully to bring those qualities into being. That's why it's so important to feed your imagination with noble pictures. Whatever image you repeat often enough, you eventually believe, and whatever you believe, you begin to live. You've seen this principle at work in athletes who rehearse victory long before they compete. They see themselves crossing the finish line, hear the crowd, feel the movement, and experience the triumph in advance. Then when the race begins, their bodies simply follow the picture their minds have already run. You can do the same in your own life. Imagine your goal completed, your problem solved, your best self already alive and active. The more clearly you see it, the more surely you'll move toward it. Now, some people say, but isn't that pretending? No, it's preparing. You're not fooling yourself, you're directing yourself. You're building the model from which reality will be constructed. And you can do this for anything: your career, your health, your relationships, your sense of purpose. The law is the same. The picture precedes the performance. So ask yourself, what image of yourself are you living from right now? Is it small, uncertain, filled with hesitation, or is it strong, confident, capable, and clear? Because whatever image you hold will be the ceiling on what you can achieve. Raise that picture, and your life will rise to meet it. But imagination by itself is not enough. It must be tied to a definite purpose, a goal so clear that all your imagination, focus, and energy begin to flow toward it like a river to the sea. And that's what we'll explore next, the law of purpose, and how a clear direction turns all these powers of mind into a single, unstoppable force. Once you've learned to discipline your thoughts, to focus your attention, and to use your imagination constructively, there remains one more essential step. You must give all that power a clear direction. The mind, like a ship, needs a destination. Without one, even the strongest vessel will drift aimlessly, blown by whatever wind happens to rise. But once you set a definite course, even a small craft can cross an ocean. Purpose gives the mind its compass, and it gives life its meaning. Here's what most people never realize. They think life is something that happens to them, when in truth, it's something they are constantly shaping through their thoughts, their attention, and their imagination. The difference between drifting and progress is direction. You can have a fine ship, sturdy sails, and steady winds, but without a dimension, charted course, you'll circle the sea forever. Purpose is that chart. It tells you where to steer, what to ignore, and how to use every challenge as a wave that carries you forward instead of one that knocks you down. Now, purpose doesn't have to be grand in the world's eyes. It doesn't need applause or recognition. A worthy purpose is simply something that demands your best effort and makes the world a little better for your having lived in it. It can be the craftsman who decides to make his work the finest of its kind. It can be the mother who determines to raise her children in love and wisdom. It can be the young person who chooses to master a skill or a calling. Whatever it is, the moment you define it, you begin to gather power. The scattered rays of thought, focus, and imagination unite into a single blazing beam of energy that cuts through every obstacle. That's what purpose does. It brings order out of confusion. It turns ordinary days into steps toward a larger design. It gives every hour its reason, and even every setback its lesson. Without purpose, life feels heavy, and uncertain days blur together, effort loses meaning, and even success feels hollow. But with purpose, every action becomes part of a story that's going somewhere. You wake up with direction. You meet challenges with confidence. You see each day as a chance to advance your chosen cause. Now, some people say, but I don't know what my purpose is. The truth is, it's not hidden from you, it's waiting for you to decide. Purpose doesn't arrive like lightning from the sky. It's built through decision and service. Ask yourself, What can I give my mind, my time, and my energy to that's worth my life? When you answer honestly, you'll feel a quiet certainty rise within you. That's purpose calling. Once you hear it, follow it. Keep it before you. Write it down. Think about it constantly. Let it become the guiding star by which you navigate every choice. And here's the reward. When you give your mind a definite goal and keep it there, something remarkable happens. The world begins to cooperate. Circumstances align, people appear, ideas arrive. It seems as though unseen hands begin arranging events in your favor. It's not magic, it's simply the law of cause and effect working at its highest level. A mind that knows where it's going has a way of drawing everything it needs along the way. So I say this to you: decide where you're going, define your purpose. Hold it steadily in your mind, and refuse to be distracted by lesser things. Don't waste energy fighting the waves, use them to move toward your goal. When you live with purpose, peace follows. The person who controls his mind controls his life. And with that truth firmly in place, we're ready to close to gather all these ideas into one clear message you can carry forward from this day on. And now we arrive at the heart of it all, the place where every idea we've discussed converges into one single truth. Your mind is the master key to everything you will ever experience. Every goal, every challenge, every success, every setback, they all begin and end within the confines of your own thought. The outer world, with all its complexity and noise, is only a reflection of what's happening inside. When the inner world is calm, clear, and directed, the outer world begins to arrange itself in the same pattern. When the inner world is confused, scattered, and full of doubt, life mirrors that confusion back to you. The law never fails. You become what you think about. So look back over what you've learned here. The law of the mind that the thoughts you plant will become the conditions you live. The discipline of thought that mastery begins the moment you take charge of your own thinking. The law of focus that energy flows where attention goes, and whatever you dwell upon expands. The creative power of imagination that you must see yourself living the life you desire long before you ever touch it with your hands. And finally, the law of purpose that the mind must have a definite aim, a charted direction, if it's to produce anything of real value. Together, these laws form the framework of every great life, every true achievement, every lasting peace of mind. You and I have the same raw material to work with 24 hours each day, a brain of remarkable capacity, and the power to think. That's all. Yet, how differently people use it. One person spends those hours scattering thoughts on worry, gossip, and complaint, and so reaps confusion and limitation. Another spends those same hours holding steady thoughts of purpose, gratitude, and vision, and reaps success and satisfaction. The difference between the two isn't luck, education, or circumstance. It's attention. It's focus. It's the decision to control the mind instead of letting the mind control them. Now I want to leave you with something simple and practical. For the next 7 days, I want you to become conscious, truly conscious of what you think about most. Carry this awareness like a quiet observer in the back of your mind. When you notice a negative thought, a worry, a fear, a resentment, stop it right there and replace it. Don't fight it, don't argue with it, just change the channel. Replace it with a clear, positive image of what you want. See it, feel it, believe in it. And each time you do this, you are training your mind, you're teaching it obedience. It won't be easy at first. You'll fail many times. That's all right. Keep going. Discipline, like any muscle, strengthens with use. And soon you'll notice something remarkable. The chaos begins to quiet, the mind grows steady, and a new kind of peace begins to settle in. You'll wake up with a sense of purpose. You'll notice that opportunities seem to come more easily. People respond differently. The whole current of your life begins to shift. And you'll know, not because someone told you, but because you've lived it, that you attract what you think. That thought is the cause, and circumstance is the effect. Remember this: the person who controls their mind controls their world. You are not a victim of events, you are the architect of them. You can design the life you want by designing the thoughts you hold. That is the greatest secret of success ever discovered, and it has been true since the beginning of time. Everything you want to become, everything you want to do or have, begins right now, this very moment, in the privacy of your own mind. So, guard it, direct it, nurture it, use it with intention and gratitude, because you and I hold in our minds the same creative power that shaped the stars and the mountains, the power of thought. And when you master that power, you master life itself. And when you're ready to go deeper to understand why this law of mind works as surely as gravity and how it connects to every success story ever told, listen to The Strangest Secret. There, you'll discover not just how to control your mind, but how to harness it fully for the life you were meant to live. Until then, remember always, control your mind and you control your life. Master the inner world and the outer world will obey.